Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/JustNoMil. In today's episode, my F29 JNMIL's control tactics are escalating now that baby is almost here. Boundaries are working for us, but apparently not for husband's family. Update: SAL refereed quasi-surprise intervention on Father's Day regarding our pregnancy and postpartum boundaries. JustNoMil said me changing the radio station was an invasion of their privacy. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. My F29 JNMIL's control tactics are escalating now that baby is almost here. Boundaries are working for us, but apparently not for husband's family. Backstory: my MIL and I, 29F, have had a difficult relationship. It all started when I was first introduced to her about 8 years ago by my now husband, 26M. I was raised to bring a gift to anyone's home when meeting or visiting, so I brought a bottle of wine, gourmet chocolate, and I think a nice decorative kitchen towel. She turned the gifts down, saying she doesn't drink and was on a diet. I felt a little bad, but oh well. The tension escalated when she was informed I was at that point having dietary preferences that excluded gluten. I was a committed athlete and experimenting with different dietary guidelines to improve performance and endurance and general physical health. I never made my preferences anyone else's problem and would make myself responsible for ensuring I had food to eat, would discreetly prep and join everyone at the table for dinner, no big deal. MIL decided to make pasta, breaded meatballs, bread, and some baked dessert, none of which I ate. I made myself a salad instead. This is the first time my husband was put in a tough position, as MIL was offended I did not eat her food. It was disrespectful. Husband thought it was more the other way around, that MIL had disregarded the preferences of the guest, me, who did not complain, not once. These kinds of moments and tensions continued. MIL did not want our relationship to move forward, would offer husband money, an apartment, all kinds of things to convince him to leave me. She thought I was the toxic one. Was our relationship perfect? Far from. Husband and I had a lot of work to do to become healthy individuals and eventually healthy partners, but we always committed to that growth/personal work. What became clear with the years was that MIL did not respect our decisions. She did not want us to move in together. She did not like the small wedding party we had, non-traditional. In fact, she threw a second wedding reception where all of the guests were her friends. I knew no one there except for my mom and siblings. In retrospect, nutty. I won't go into details on this one in case the now grown-up baby in question finds this post somehow, but husband's much older brother had an unplanned pregnancy in his teens. MIL unilaterally decided she'd raise this baby, and did. Her choice, but one that strengthened her matriarchal position within the family and set the tone for the adult children's lack of autonomy and independence. Her mode of control? Catholic guilt trips. These days, I've been remembering a lot of the times in conversations where my husband would cry and explain he felt caught in the middle, like he had to choose between his independent life, like his relationship with me, and having a relationship with MIL, and by extension the rest of his family. Now, well, husband and I are now expecting a planned baby, due within a couple of months. The pregnancy was very difficult emotionally and somewhat difficult physically, though medically uncomplicated. I needed a lot of professional support to overcome perinatal depression and bond with the baby. While this was happening, husband is in the middle of a doctoral program, we're in a different state with a different time zone and everything, stress is high for a million reasons. It was impacting my mental health how much MIL wanted to know about the pregnancy, the gender even before medically possible to know, pics of my changing body, etc., and husband and I decided to establish boundaries to protect my crumbling stability. We asked for no gendered gifts, no requests for pics/info, it would be shared as we were able, and nothing religious, as we are not religious. Needless to say, MIL would pester me for pics, for gender, and started sending care packages with religious items, prayers for mom, GD grant me the serenity, newborn costumes, fairy wings, tutus, for newborn pics, boomer style, etc., etc. Every box received gentle feedback and redirection as per our boundaries, until husband was direct and told MIL to please not send anything unless she really wanted to, and if so to look at our baby registry. She told us to kiss her ass. She probably wants to be as involved with this baby as she was with BIL's babies, except we don't need her. After this last exchange where husband stood firm on boundaries, radio silence. Until now. SIL requested to FT with husband and I, and informed us that we've been a topic of discussion within the family, in a very split, fractured toxic fashion, as per usual within the matriarchy. MIL has been peddling a victim narrative where we are keeping her from the baby, are not talking to her, and she's depressed that she might never be involved with husband/baby. I'm the monster who did this to husband, and she's mad at husband/her son for doing this to her. I pointed out MIL is not a child and she can talk to us, and that this is my pregnancy, my baby, and simply not about MIL. SIL told husband to take his foot off her neck and be the bigger person. Frankly, I'm not upset with SIL, I love her, and my perception of this conversation is that she's still under MIL's Catholic guilt/control spell, because husband and I haven't done anything to her and channels of communication have remained open. She's the one who did not accept husband's call or reply to his text on Mother's Day. She's the one choosing distance, presumably to punish/guilt/attempt to control husband. Unfortunately, SIL and BIL reportedly feel too guilty and conflicted to be a part of this, aka the baby, unless things resolve with MIL. Way I see it, ball's in her court. This explains the distance husband has felt from them despite attempts to connect, and he's very sad about it all. SIL insists MIL is not making husband choose, that's our narrative. Part of me wants to clear the air with his family, part of me is unhappy about being made the scapegoat and angry about the extra stress MIL's drama has brought upon my relationship, especially during this pregnancy. My instinct has always told me to cut toxic people out, but this one is tricky obviously because it's my husband's family. I always wanted to be a part of it, but now that we're both outsiders, husband feels his life and mental health are more stable without efforts to manage family relationships. I don't believe MIL can change, at least not without a lot of work and suffering on our part as the boundary holders, especially since everyone else always bends for her whim. My husband is the baby, and it's gotta be unbearable for her that he's differentiating from her and making choices for himself. Advice wanted. Support wanted. Different perspectives welcome. I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. I have a little story to help you. It is 100% true. In about 12 hours, I am flying across the US to spend a second week with my son, DL, and the best grandkids ever. They have to go out of town overnight, and their regular sitter is unavailable. One of the grands is under 10 months, other two are under 10 years. I was just there for the exact same reason 2 weeks ago. While there, I completely cleaned and organized everything she asked me to. I cooked, shopped, and did laundry. It's my side job and they asked me if I'll help. I had all the grandma time I could handle. Got up at 3 a.m. for feedings. Played with the kids till they passed out. Stayed the hell out of anything not my business. And you know why I've been invited back? You wanna know why my Dale said when we move, gonna have to get you a granny flat so you can just stay? The answer is simple. I treat her like I'd want to be treated in her spot. I respect her as the mother and wife, and I love my son. I'm completely stupid about my grands. So why would I do anything to jeopardize this amazing week I'm about to have? Do I agree with everything they do? Nope. Not even close. But it's not my business or my life. I can love and support them from over here. Here on the other coast where I have my own life to figure out. The reason MILs are so difficult is because they haven't figured out my secret. If you follow the golden rule, you can have all the grandma time in the world. Just treat the DIL the way you'd want your own MIL to treat you. That's it. I wouldn't disrespect their family because there's no way in hell I'd let my MIL disrespect me. Full stop. Now, there are only two options I see for you. Stop dealing with this idiot and let your so handle all communications. Until forever if you want. Or, 2. Leave him and marry my other son. LOL. I wish you a very safe delivery. A shiny spine, and an empty field of F added #S to give about her whittle feelings. Husband feels his life and mental health are more stable without efforts to manage family. This is real. It is valid. You are already there. Let them go. If family has to be managed, they are not family. They are weights you carry. They are burdens you endure. Take advantage of the quiet and silence to enjoy the rest of your pregnancy and leave everyone alone. Enjoy being a family, the three of you. Then, when settled, you can welcome in anyone you like, who does everything to make your life better, not worse. Invite your BILNSAL to visit if you think they will be joyous for you and not drag guilt into your life. If you can't trust them to not do that, don't invite them. However, a warning. Once your baby is born, both of you will have all the hormones, the love, the warm and fuzzies. You will be entirely vulnerable, filled with nostalgia for what should have been and could be, if only you let them back in. You'll look back through those rose-colored glasses and think, it wasn't that bad. It can and will be that bad because you are weak and she will sense it. It will be nice for 15 minutes because you learned your lesson and now need her. But that's it. It will start all over and be worse than ever. Be careful. SAL, it's unfortunate you and BIL feel too conflicted to be a part of our baby's life. But that is your choice, where you personally are drawing the line, and we will respect that boundary. We know you are not setting this boundary to hurt our feelings. We hope that this eases things for you because that's what our goal was in setting our boundaries as well. You wouldn't be guilting her, just drawing a comparison she is welcome to mull over. SAL doesn't want you two to be the bigger people, just the flatter doormat. Keep your boundaries. Pandering to MIL won't make her the nice, considerate person you hope she would be. I like the gentle nature of that message. The flattered doormat is definitely a phrase I am stealing from now on. You guys are doing everything right. The hardest thing to accept in your heart, as well as your head, is that you and DH are not responsible for MIL's emotional well-being. DH has made you and your baby his priority, as he should. This is the crux of the problem. You are right that MIL will probably never be able to change her expectations, and you all will have to decide if it is worth the effort and time to attempt to change her behavior through consistent consequences. Right now is not the time, though. Your focus should be on your family, and reducing your stress as much as possible. Maybe a text or email to the family from DH. Dear family, I feel I need to make some things clear and set some boundaries. My focus and priority is my DW's health and well-being. She is carrying our child, and our goal is to reduce her stress levels as much as possible so that she can safely deliver a healthy child. I suppose that may not be anyone else's priority, but that is not my problem. What mom wants at this point is not my problem. I do what I have time for, which admittedly is not a lot, and not what mom is used to. However, mom is an adult and is responsible for managing her own feelings and behavior. My priority is my DW's health and well-being as a pregnant woman. I want to point out that mom has chosen not to talk to us despite me reaching out to her multiple times. I blocked her on DW's phone due to mom stepping over clear boundaries and causing a lot of stress for DW, who is pregnant. Mom has also chosen to ignore our boundaries. At this point, we have decided that we do not want to talk to mom. When the baby is safely born and DW has recovered, we will revisit this decision. Everyone's behavior from this point forward will have an impact on how much involvement we have with you all going forward. I suggest you choose your actions and words carefully. Once more, my DW is pregnant. Right now she is in a fragile medical condition. She is and always will be my first priority. Drop the rope. Your MIL has managed to make herself a primary focal point during your pregnancy with this crap. Take your power back and ignore her crap. She only has the power in your lives that you give her. What other people, BIL, SAL, etc., choose to do is their problem, and not your responsibility to fix. Let them all get on with it. SIL called because MIL is driving her nuts. She wants you two to take over as target, so her life can improve, without her having to do anything else. Nope. Her life, her problem. SIL called because MIL is driving her nuts. She wants you two to take over as target, so her life can improve, without her having to do anything else. Nope. Her life, her problem. You hit the nail on the head. Stay rooted OP. Their loss. First, clearing the air will never work. Read missing reasons for a hint as to why. None of what you say will be taken the way any rational person should take it. Second, as a husband who used to think he was in the middle, nothing could be further from the truth. In our attempt to avoid conflict and argument, we lose sight of what marriage is all about. We are choosing another person and creating a new family with them. Everyone else at that point becomes extended family. Period. If there is ever a choice between partner and extended family, partner should always win. It took me far too long to learn that lesson, and my wife got really close to leaving me because of it. It's been years and we're far better now, but ultimately, that's what it comes down to. And finally, MIL and the rest of them need to learn that they are not owed anything when it comes to you or your child. Nothing. Period. End of discussion. No highway option. If they want a positive relationship with your child, they have to have a positive relationship with you. You will spend more time with your child than they could ever hope to. And children are not stupid. They see how adults talk to and treat each other. They also form opinions of people based on those interactions they see. They may not always say it out loud, but they see it. Be polite but firm in your boundaries. Don't badmouth them, but stand up to them. Think of it as developing the habits that you want your child to have when they eventually run into their first bully at school, because with what you posted, MIL and the rest of the extended family are being bullies right now. Congratulations on your growing family. As a father of two, it's a wild ride, but one of the best I've ever been on. Talk to your husband and support him as he navigates a new normal with his family, which may include cutting them up out. Let him be the primary contact until they are willing to be respectful and kind to you. And absolutely no visitors that stay with you after the baby is born until you're fully ready. You don't need house guests ruining your initial bonding time with the baby. She will never change because she will never recognize a need to change and do the work to change. I'm sorry your JNMIL has created such a hostile situation, but it sounds like you and your DH have no choice but to give her what she's begging for: no relationship with DH or low. Don't reach out, don't keep her in the loop, don't update her, don't send a birth announcement, keep everything to yourselves. That's what she's accusing y'all of doing anyway. Truthfully, once your child is born, y'all would be better off without JNMIL and her family, flying monkeys. Sayel made her decision clear: if you don't give JNMIL everything she wants, nobody will be involved with your child. Yes, that sucks. But it's better to assume life will be that way and focus on your own family, you, baby. Just addressing one angle here, don't let her gatekeep the rest of the family. This is the source of her power. Your DH needs to get busy opening and keeping open lines of communication, otherwise she controls the narrative and you're always on the back foot. You on the other hand are growing a whole person, so you've got enough on your plate. Crossed fingers, thumbs up. Update: SAL refereed quasi-surprise intervention on Father's Day regarding our pregnancy and postpartum boundaries. I did not expect to have an update, at least not this soon. However, husband tried to have a call with FIL and BAL, obviously others were there too, to congratulate them on Father's Day and a light chat. Even though LO isn't born yet, DH has been so wonderful that our girls, doggies, and I were celebrating him with kisses, donuts, and a small gift/card. The beginning of the call was nice for a couple of minutes. Sale and Bil's wife asked about the baby, specifically if I thought she'd be born hairy, and I told them I'd actually been having dreams where Lo was born and was in fact a puppy, so yes. I guess that's what happens in your subcon brain when you've been a dog parent. Ha! They also asked when we'd be open to visitors, and we said we weren't sure yet because it depended on the postpartum period and how that goes, but to for sure expect we'd take at least a month and a half to settle, learn how to care for/bond with Lo, and for me to heal, all in the privacy and comfort of our home. People shared about Father's Day plans for a couple of minutes, and then Sale took charge of the conversation and said something along the lines of, "Why don't we take this as an opportunity for everyone to say what they need to say?" DH stated he wanted to have a Father's Day chat and not whatever intervention this was meant to be, but Sale pressed. At this point, I left, but was within earshot, because I remembered that as the scapegoat, this is not actually about me. Thought it seems to be about me on the surface, and all the helpful comments that reminded me that I cannot do anything other than protect myself with my boundaries. So I let DH handle it unilaterally. He did a great job, but here's the gist of the 2 hours that ensued. Sale reiterated her position that DH was too defensive, that it was unnecessary because no one is trying to take Lo from you. DH clarified that it's not defensiveness, but consequences for trampling over his/our boundaries time and time again. This is where it became heated because nobody understood why we didn't want gifts, and DH had to clarify for everyone that we did in fact welcome gifts and support, and that the reason Mael's gifts were rejected was because they specifically violated stated boundaries. Bil's wife was shocked to learn that the boundaries had been clearly stated, written down, as a clear list. Sale insisted there needs to be compromise on both sides, and DH replied that there is no compromise when it pertains to his family's, our, boundaries, and that Mael needs to separate her beef with him as his son and her disgruntled dissatisfaction with everything pertaining to Lo. Mil took this as an opportunity to state that the problem did not start with the pregnancy, but with the inception of my relationship with DH back in 2015 when he became a distant and disrespectful son. DH explained that the reason he had moved away to the city where we met was to get space from overbearing Mil, his choice about how he wanted to live his life, and that Mil was blaming me for his differentiation and autonomy. DH asked what Mil meant by disrespectful, for Mil to operationalize the term, cause she was being vague AF. She replied that he should respect her by needing her and taking her advice when it's given, because she knows better. DH replied this is not about respect then, but about control. Mil stated that we will essentially drown when Lo is born and we will realize we need her and will come asking for her help, you will see. DH replied that if her qualifications were that she bore 3 children, that we had better supports at hand and would in fact not need her nor reach out to her. Lots of scoffing ensued. Sale continued to try to play the impartial mediator role, though she seemed to continue to fail to realize her tremendous bias on behalf of Mil. This is her journey and she will progress at her pace, I suppose. This is also the shining moment for Bil, who interrupted and shared some extremely validating and supportive stuff. He said we were speaking in a lot of platitudes and that he related to DH's position a lot, that Mil is in fact extremely overbearing, that her involvement in his family/with his children was in some specific ways and at some specific times the worst decision he's made in his life, and that his marriage has yet to recover from that, despite the fact his youngest is already 8. He urged everyone to understand and accept that DH and I are the parents and we are the only ones in charge and have every right to dictate the rules about anything pertaining to Lo and our family. Boy, it felt good in my heart to hear this. Mil lost her sh*t and started bringing up any and all grudges she'd been holding against us, like one time she visited and was picked up late from the airport because I had the one car we owned for work and we relied on my fee-for-service income, making my appointments that day non-negotiable. She brought up a text I had sent her asking her to not speak to DH or I about the other behind our backs, to address anything with the two of us in tandem as we are a united front. Of course she hated we did not let her split us, that's the name of her game. She tried to throw DH under the bus for not calling her, and he reminded her of how she ignored his calls and text on Mother's Day and was playing the victim. She said she doesn't understand and that it's crazy that she won't get to meet the baby until after a month of being born, and thankfully folks stepped in and were like, "This is what we're talking about, Mom, about how it's not your job to understand but to respect the wishes of the parents." I could keep listing the unreasonable *T comments and complaints, but that's the gist. BIL texted DH that they should chat more about this privately so they can be candid and supportive, etc. FIL stated it was a great Father's Day gift that the family opened dialogue, and MIL had her pissy nasty face for the entire 2 hours, as per DH. I'm glad I didn't look at the screen and missed it because despite my lack of involvement I got some lovely stress nausea/diarrhea. God help her if she thinks she furthered her case or if she thinks we're going to welcome her to meet LO as things stand, because neither of us, nor LO, will need or benefit from the stress of her presence. For someone who claims to love yet to be born LO, she sure gives her lots of cortisol by causing knee malaise. DH did great and I'm so proud of him. Sad about how hard this has been on him, but he's looking forward to processing this all with his therapist, as do I. My JY mom was validating and is praying for MIL to find some light. I'm glad this happened and is therefore over so that there's nothing hanging over our heads as we relax and prepare to welcome LO. Key takeaway from all of this is that BIL backed up DH in MIL being overbearing and controlling. No matter what was said, she showed her true colors. The fact that they were able to call her out on her BS and her making it about her and not the wants of you and DH. DH was awesome. He tried to stop the conversation, but they, SIL and MIL, wanted to press forward. His spine is awesome. He made his point and BIL him up and showed how unreasonable MIL is being. Awesome. Good luck. Think DH has a new ally with Bill. He's probably fed up with all the intrusion from MIL and her undue influence on SIL. Good for you for staying out of conversation and letting DH handle the intervention. Totally agree. It was also probably refreshing for BIL to hear that his own thoughts and feelings about MIL were shared by at least one other person. I'm sure he's been made to feel like he was being unreasonable in the past. I hope BIL's wife feels validated by BIL being so open about regretting letting MIL overstep with his kids. And that it helps them heal. Really surprised that his comment about it being the biggest mistake of his life didn't end the call. If one of my kids said that, all focus would turn to them and trying to understand and apologize for whatever I did. For MIL and FIL to not drop everything and address that is surprising. Even SIL should be taken aback, seen everything in a new light. That's got to be up there as one of the worst things your adult child could say to you, Lamo. And to still feel that way 8 years later? Yikes. I hope your stomach calms down, OP, and you feel some relief. Despite it sounding hopeless to get through to your MIL, DH did a great job advocating for himself and you. Especially when SIL blindsided him. And it sounds like you, DH, BIL, and his wife may be able to develop stronger relationships. BIL certainly went to bat for you and DH. Wonder what BIL and his wife think about how this went down. So much for his Father's Day. Let's have a round of applause for BIL too, who has clearly been dealing with the same stuff for a while also. Seems like BIL and his so got stories to tell. This post turned out a lot better than I thought it would when reading the title. DH did great, BIL is a real one. FIL was happy with actual communication about the issues instead of blindly enabling his wife. SIL, while biased, does seem well-intentioned. MIL outs herself as having trouble differentiating the concepts of control and respect, and others step in to defend you. For now this is a definite success, everyone knows what the deal is and is aware of your boundaries, so MIL lost a good handful of potential flying monkeys to portray herself as victim. Agreed, and I think BIL had an eye-opening moment. Some people mean respect as treating all people with dignity and others see it as obeying their will. And when they say they're not respected, they mean they won't treat you with basic human kindness if you don't let them control you. Sounds like your MIL is one of those. Good job to hubby for standing up for you. Also, y'all should both read the Lemon Clot essay if they get under your skin. Read that. And the Rocking the Boat post too. Loved both of them, illuminating. Helped me have empathy for the flying monkeys. If she wasn't there before, SIL moved firmly to just no column. You husband is a saint. I would have hung up at 10 minutes. Honestly, I would have thrown the iPad out the window. In select lighting, one might be able to see a halo over that man. I love the part where husband backed MIL into a corner about his disrespectfulness. She totally outed herself as an emotionally needy control freak. Hopefully once that has a chance to sink in with SAL, she will realize how totally fed up that is. Your husband is a shining star. And hell yeah for BIL. His support was a welcoming surprise, I'm sure. I bet he wished he had set and enforced boundaries when his children were born. His comments seem supportive and proud of your DH. It's great everything's out in the open, in front of everyone, so nobody can make *T up when gossiping about this later. Of course, I guarantee JNMIL will still insist that y'all were horribly disrespectful to her, and when challenged, she'll insist it happened and act like they must have missed it. NMIL said me changing the radio station was an invasion of their privacy. My wife, 29F, and I, 26F, are very much involved in her mom's, 59F, and stepfather's, 60M, day-to-day life. FIL works insane hours every day, and thus MIL, who has a physical disability, often needs our help with day-to-day chores, errands, appointments, picking up her grandkids, our niece and nephew, and sale. For such things we often use their vehicle since it has the space, 7-seater. So yesterday, with it being Father's Day, I used the vehicle to go pick up Sale and the kids while my wife stayed behind at their place to help and take care of our 10-month-old daughter. I changed the radio station to a local pop station since I did not enjoy listening to the country station they had on. Everything was fine until it was time for my wife and I to take our daughter home since it was close to her bedtime and was getting fussy. We had asked FIL if he would take Sale and her kids home, and he seemed okay with that. As I was packing up our things, MIL wheeled into the living room and said, "You shouldn't have to take them home since it's Father's Day, but oh well." I'm used to these passive-aggressive comments and ignored them since my daughter was my priority. Skip to this morning when wife was on the phone with MIL and MIL claimed I broke their car's radio. They claimed when FIL took everyone home that the radio would not change stations and was frozen or glitching. Completely out of my control. My wife came to my defense once my mother-in-law said, "Why is she changing the radio? She shouldn't do that. It's invading our privacy and space." My wife thought she was joking, but she was dead serious. It turned into a huge argument. I want to say my piece to her, but don't want to feed into her nonsense or cause problems between my wife and I. I still don't know what privacy I breached. I am lucky enough to have a spouse that will stick up for me, but in doing so she got called emotional and a psycho. We shouldn't be manipulated or belittled just because I changed the station on the radio or us prioritizing our daughter's needs. Okay. You can just do your own errands going forward. I'd stop helping because of the name-calling. That would be the last time I drove to pick up anyone or anything for her in their car or mine. Is it possible that this isn't about the radio? Maybe she's not angry about you changing the radio station, she's just been waiting for something to pin on you or be angry at you about, and this is the first time you've messed up, so to speak, and she's jumping all over it. You did nothing wrong. Them changing the channel back one time is a minor inconvenience at most. I highly doubt the radio is broken. More likely, they don't know how to change it back, or they just want to blow it out of proportion. Hopefully I'm wrong and they just suck at technology. And jabbing to drive you guys everywhere isn't invading your privacy? Guess you don't need rides anymore. The audacity. Tell them, no problem, won't use the radio or the van again in the future. Good luck. Yup. This is the hill I'm willing to die on. I don't think invasion of privacy means what she thinks it means. Inconceivable. But no OP knows they have awful taste in music. Generally, if you are using someone else's car, leave it how you found it. That said, MIL could have just asked, if you change the station, can you put it back on the boring one when you are finished? Definitely not an invasion of privacy, but just courteous. Perhaps MIL takes too much for granted and forgets you are helping her but also have your own life. FIL must have had a whinge about it. Maybe he should cut back on his hours and take care of his own wife. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.